Another sports-themed play is headed for Broadway. The producers of Bronx Bombers tell us what separates a theatrical bomb from a grand slam home run.
We all know as sports fans, the minute it looks like it's fake or not authentic, we sort of wander off.
Yogi Berra is one of the most beloved figures in sports. But actor Peter Scolari faces a challenge. How do you bring the legend to life on the stage?
This is a rugged animal. You know, this is another species of a ball player.
Plus, the man who proudly leads Nerd Nation. Can Bernard Muir keep football going strong at Stanford?
We want to do it appropriately with balance and make sure that we do it the right way.
It ain't over till it's over, and we're just getting started. Join us for Sportfolio. Hello, I'm Rick Haro, and welcome to Sportfolio, Bloomberg's weekly inside look at the business of sports. Over the last few Broadway seasons, several sports-themed shows have had successful runs. In 2010, Lombardi featured veteran TV actor Dan Lauria as the iconic coach. In 2012, Magic Bird focused on the relationship of two NBA superstars. In January 2014, Bronx Bombers, a play based on the illustrious history of the New York Yankees, will begin performances at the Circle and the Square. The team behind all of these productions, Tony Panturo and Fran Kermser, who now join us on Sportfolio. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fran, 30-second elevator speech on your new venture.
Well, we're very excited about Bronx Bombers. It's really just such a treat to tell this story. It takes a look at the legacy of the New York Yankees from Babe Ruth to Derek Jeter and really focuses on team and what is it to be a team and how is this team the greatest team.
Got a lot of raw material to choose from, clearly. And Tony, from your perspective, it's one thing to write a play, but it's another thing to create the business model to successfully put it on and make a little bit of money. Tell us about the business model.
Well, the first thing we do is we have to be authentic, so we get the leagues involved. So with Lombardi NFL, NBA with Magic Bird, and now the Yankees and Major League Baseball. Obviously also try to get some of their resources relative to marketing and their fan base. But it has to really be real. I mean, we all know as sports fans, the minute it looks like it's fake or not authentic, we sort of wander off. And that's the same with theater as well. So that's the real key.
Well, to follow up on that, the beauty of this, obviously, is the early partnership with the NBA, with Magic Bird, and the early partnership with the NFL with Lombardi, both huge. What's the practical partnership here with the Yankees and baseball?
Well, it allows us to use, we have 8 players on the stage at one time with Yankee uniforms that are authentic to the time, from Babe Ruth all the way to Derek Jeter. And those uniforms are realistic, and we're allowed to use that NY, and that's key. Also can use the Yankees logo and Major League Baseball logo in our marketing, and that's obviously a value to us as well. And, thanks to, we give them credit because, we are bringing them into a new venue called Broadway in the entertainment space, but in the same breath, they're sitting there in the middle of Times Square with a lot of visibility, so we think that gives them value as well.
A-Rod's off-field antics in it?
Yeah, it's not about A-Rod. We want to, we'll just leave it at that.
Just leave it at that. Very clear. Fran, creative side, if I'm not a Yankee fan or if I'm a Yankee hater and I'm not a baseball fan, why do I want to see Bronx Bombers?
Oh, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about relationships. It's about relationships between these great men and what makes this team a great team, and we can all relate to that. We
also know that jukebox musicals today, Jersey Boys, Motown, they're big hits. Are your plays at all geared to this kind of model? Is this effectively the Yankees' greatest hits?
I think what's really fantastic about this sports series that we began with Lombardi and then Magic Bird and now Bronx Bombers is that every night is an event. So yes, it does feel like that musical, that jukebox musical or that popular musical, commercial musical, and that every night feels like an event and something that's a must-see and a special evening.
Well, back to the business side, Dr. Panturo. Are these events, this sports series you talk about, relatively cheap to produce? Modest, expensive? Where does this all fit?
I think relative to the numbers we're used to in the sports world, they're relatively cheap to produce, but they don't feel like they're cheap to produce when you're doing them yourself. You have to raise the capital. You have to convince investors that this is something that can work and have a financial benefit. So but the minute you get past 7-figure numbers, it's real money,
relative to sports, but how about relative to other Broadway plays?
Well, our shows are right in what I would call the play budgets. You know, musicals are generally maybe 3 or 4 times more expensive, but of course they have a lot more going on as well. And the other thing, just from the business standpoint, is our lobby. We love Circle in the Square because we can create memorabilia, we can create autograph signings and stuff like that. So it's not a musical, but we bring other dimensions than a normal play to the show.
244 performances of Lombardi, and I saw at least 2. I'd see another 144 if I could have. It was amazing. 38 for Magic Bird. Did you make money break even on both? Did you make money break even on both?
You know, that's information that we never share.
Yeah,
but
just
we
generally.
do know that everyone that was in with us was so pleased with the experience. These are important stories. These are really breathtaking stories, and stories that speak to the world that we're living in right now. So we feel very positive about both of them. So
do you make your costs back with regional productions on all of this? What's the afterlife?
Yeah, I mean, we have 10 years as the rights holders of the show. It's interesting. Fran conceives it, we produce it, Derek Simonson's our playwright, but we as producers and our investors have the rights for 10 years. And so to your point, we continue to benefit from the licensing of the show all the way through that point. And if we do a revival, then that opportunity is there as well.
Well, I'll be one of your biggest fans. I'll be there in January, February. Bronx Bombers starts January, February?
January 10th.
January 10th.
In performances with a grand opening on February 6th. But performances start January 10th.
Both of you, thanks for joining us again on Sportfolio. I guess what they say in the business is break a leg, so break a leg.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay. In keeping with the baseball theme, we have a heavy hitter on deck. You'll no doubt recognize the actor Peter Scolari, who plays Yogi Berra in Bronx Bombers. Coming up, we'll talk to him about bringing a legendary sports character to the stage.
It ain't over till it's over. You know, we're accustomed to it and we're used to it, but nobody said it before him.
Act 2 of Sportfolio is next. Stay with us. It's safe to say that no sports figure has been quoted or perhaps misquoted more often than New York Yankee immortal Yogi Berra. Fans of every generation recognize his name and understand his brand, such as it is. Yogi's a central character in the new play Bronx Bombers. It comes to Broadway in January. And the man who's going to play Yogi, veteran actor Peter Scolari, joins us on Sportfolio. Peter, let's face it, Yogi is so familiar. Is it easier to play him or harder to play him?
I should give up now.
Come on, man. You got to tell the Yogi story in kind of the normal course and make it sound familiar, right? I mean, that's part of the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wonderful play. It's a brave effort. I'm really excited about playing Yogi. This is my era. It's my generation. I got to meet the guy a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still not over it.
Yeah.
Out at his museum in Montclair, and we watched the World Series together, and he's rooting for St. Louis, something I had to come to grips with. A National League fan.
Right.
I don't even understand that.
Well, but when you realize that he delivered some laugh lines, but he was serious when he delivered those lines.
Mostly serious.
How do you get up for that?
Well, there's a fine line to be walked there, you know. Some of this stuff is really quite wise, but if you were to press him on it, he would insist, I'm sure, that he meant nothing profound in what he had to say. You know, but it ain't over till it's over is, you know, we're accustomed to it and we're used to it, but nobody said it before him, you know. And one of my favorites is, if you come to a fork in the road, take it. This is.
Do you deliver that on stage?
No.
Deliver your best line on stage. Give us a preview.
Well, I haven't learned them all yet.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, but Tony, I mean, you're being paid to learn the lines a couple of months in advance. Give us one line.
I never said half of the things I said.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. When you talked to him and you met him in the museum,
yes.
Did you talk a little bit about the role? Did you try to get in his head such as you could?
No, I stayed out of his head.
Okay. It's good. Probably a good thing, right?
That's probably a good thing.
But you learned. What did you learn from him when you met with him?
Well, this play is about relationships and family and the sort of the macro family phenomenon of a sports team. And what we see very early on is that Yogi's investment, his heart and his soul, is in this team. And in the season 1977-78, his world is coming apart. Yeah. And anyone who's seen him yell at the umpire when Jackie Robinson is called safe stealing home back in the World Series, And just losing his mind and jumping up and down, looking like he's going to start tearing limbs, which I'm sure he was capable of doing off of this umpire. Knows that this man, for all we have fun, talking about him and having fun with his yogiisms, is a very intense guy. Anybody who's ever caught, a major league fastball and lived till the next pitch, knows that this is a rugged animal. This is another species of ball player and arguably of man. So so meeting with Yogi, I kind of delved ever so slightly into his relationship with his wife. My wife is going to play Carmen Berra in this production, and we got to hang out with Carmen and Yogi and see them have a night where they invite folks out to the museum to watch a World Series game with Yogi and Carmen and have hamburgers and hot dogs and ask questions. And in all my years of show business, we'll call it entertainment, the bigger grouping of it, of entertainment, I've never seen anybody so patient and so pleasant and so easygoing and welcoming of attention and interest for 2 hours. This guy gives himself over. This is this phenomenal, this iconic guy who is at 88 years of age, down home and present. He's right there. You ask him a question, he's right in it with you.
Did he do it? Would he do it for everybody? Did it for you because he knows you're going to be playing his legacy? And
he did it for everybody.
Interesting.
Everybody.
What would he think today if I asked him about you playing his role?
He seems okay with it.
Today?
Today.
Yeah.
I mean, the jury's still out. I've got a lot of work to do.
Are you a Yankee fan?
I'm a huge Yankee fan.
Well, that helped?
Yeah, it does help.
Yeah.
It does help because this plays a little bit more than the craft of acting for me. This is sort of a tribute. I feel like I owe something to theater goers and sports fans. People are going to come out and see this play. Moreover, I owe something to Yogi and to the Ghosts, to be honest with you.
Well, speaking of the Ghosts and speaking about the Yankees' perception, Yankees are loved in certain aspects of New York, hated in a lot of different places. Does a cast feel like they have a responsibility to make the audience like these guys, or just tell it like it is?
To know these guys.
Yeah.
There's a pedestal sort of phenomenon, and as soon as somebody's up there on it, it's human nature to peck away or to try and rip somebody down off of that pedestal. And the Yankees have, what, 27 world championships since the dawn of baseball time. So you gotta understand that and allow that. And there's a lot of folks who will see the Yankees taken down a notch and wait for them to come back, because that's human nature too. Well,
it's going to be an amazing event. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks,
I guess
Rick.
they say break a leg in this industry, or at least don't pull a hamstring.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself, and not too badly.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rick. Pleasure, buddy.
Coming up on Sportfolio, we're witnessing a golden era for Stanford football. And when you talk to the man who runs the program, you get the feeling it's no fluke.
It serves as a model for others because they're coming and calling and like, how are you doing this? How are you making that happen?
Here's this week's Sportfolio Stumper. Can you name the 3 Stanford football players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? One of them's easy. The other 2, maybe not so much. We'll have the answer when Sportfolio returns. Here's the answer to the stumper. The 3 Stanford football players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame: John Elway, James Lofton, and Ernie Nevers. Nevers was the hero of the 1925 Rose Bowl. Ernie Nevers might have a little difficulty with the nickname the Stanford athletic program has embraced, Nerd Nation, but it really captures the essence of what athletic director Bernard Muir is trying to accomplish on the farm.
I think we embrace it. If you could see from the post-game interviews with our student athletes, we really like to play up on, this is a unique place where the students are really able to balance both the athletics and the academics to the highest degree, and so we celebrate that at every turn, and so the Nerd Nation moniker really celebrates the best of what's going on here on the farm.
But you have to do some other things with it too, not just rest on your laurels. Obviously revenues are up thanks to Larry Scott and the Pac-12. But that revenue is distributed equally, so there has to be some other magical formula where you leverage your success versus all of those other downtrodden teams in the Pac-12. How do you do it?
Well, certainly we're thrilled to be part of the Pac-12 and the resources that come with that. We do have a great group of stakeholders who have a vested interest in our programs. We're able to take those resources from the great extensive Pac-12 coverage and then also build on that and allow us to really grow our brand, if you will.
Stanford football is about to complete a 5th straight winning season. That hasn't happened since the 1970s. This year, the Cardinal will go to a 5th straight bowl game. That hasn't happened since ever.
How do you, as the CEO of this program, manage expectations? Because I know you could say, we want to be on top every year. In your heart, are you going to be on top every year? And how do you prepare people for long-term Stanford performance?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first took the job, people said, Bernard, if you could continue to go to BCS bowl games, we'll allow you to stay. And so with that pressure, you understand, I think that our folks overall understand that we want to do it appropriately with balance and make sure that we do it the right way. And yes, we want success, but it has to be measured. And I think people respect that.
Obviously, Stanford has some unique issues across the board, all good, but you've got to manage very significant budgets on the revenue side and the expense side. What are some of the unique aspects on the revenue side that make this job different than an AD at other schools?
Well, I think when you look in totality, certainly we get conference resources through our television deal. We get tickets are important to us and making sure we have full houses as much as possible. But what's uniquely Stanford is the amount of support we get from outside stakeholders. When you look at our coaching endowments and the number of names associated with our coaching positions, pretty phenomenal. When you look at our scholarships, and we provide over 300 scholarships across 36 varsity sport programs, all of those scholarships have names associated with them, which makes this truly unique. And I know that it serves as a model for others because they're coming and calling and like, how are you doing this? How are you making that happen? And so from a revenue standpoint, that's pretty impressive.
On the expense side, there are some interesting, unique challenges as well as opportunities. To elaborate?
Yeah, so the one uniqueness about on the expense side is certainly the breadth of our programs. When you're talking about 36 varsity programs, I think there's maybe 2 in the country that offer that many, that provide also scholarships. And so trying to appease and service 36 varsity programs, there's not a coach that I've met that doesn't have their list, if you will, of items that they want to accomplish. And so we're trying to balance that, prioritize, and try to provide the best experience possible for our student athletes and creating a baseline of what we're going to provide to every student that wears a Stanford uniform.
When head coach Jim Harbaugh left for the 49ers in 2011, that should have dealt a tough blow to the program. But David Shaw has stepped in and continued to win. Incredibly, Stanford's managed to maintain coaching excellence without paying out the multi-million-dollar contracts that have become standard at top-level football schools.
When you look at numbers on a relative basis, you see the reports and the average coach's salary, pushing $1.8 million with benefits around the country. How do you keep David Shaw if you don't give him Urban Meyer money?
Well, one, we try to hold on as best we can. Yeah. Prayers, the power of prayers is significant. But no, at the same token, we want to treat David well, and that's something that our Board of Trustees, our President, our Provost, we continue to look at and try to be as competitive as we can. Not trying to, necessarily be number one, best in class in that regard, but there's something unique about this special place, and we want to treat David, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that as we continue to move forward.
I'm sure he's heard you say there's something unique about this special place, and then his agent will come back and say, yeah, the uniqueness ought to be that you pay scale and also give you access to a special place. Well, how do you do it?
Well, it's something that we review year in, year out. Obviously, there's various conversations that we continue to have. I know David really wants to be here, and at the same token, we don't take him for granted by any stretch.
Across the street, the guys at the Stanford Business School would say that you got to pay top dollar to attract and keep top talent. So you're a pretty staunch, I assume, advocate for paying the COO of your football program what it takes to get the best guys in the country.
Well, I think our Board of Trustees, our President, our Provost realizes that in order to stay competitive, we got to stay relevant in the marketplace, and it's something that we got to keep a watchful eye on. Certainly, as I visit with NFL folks, I know he's at the top of everyone's list, but I truly believe, and David's come out and said it publicly, he loves it here. And we've got to do right by him and continue to monitor the landscape. And at the same token, we also have to provide consistency for him to keep his staff intact. And so that's one of the things that we have kept a watchful eye on as well, too.
And here's where the Nerd Nation moniker really fits. Stanford football's 93% graduation rate not only leads the Pac-12 by double digits, it's the highest of any team ranked in the top 25 this season. We'll be back to wrap up this edition of Sportfolio with words from Dr. J in just a moment. Get Sportfolio wherever you go on the Bloomberg TV Plus app for iPad. Welcome back to Sportfolio. We began this show talking about the timeless appeal of the Yankees and Yogi Berra. Let's close it out with words from another iconic sports figure, Basketball Hall of Famer Julius Erving. Dr. J recently stopped by Bloomberg and spoke with Pim Fox on taking stock.
Based on your business experience, do you have any guidance or any thoughts about current players like LeBron James and their business interests? And the money must be different too.
Well, it's a lot different. I mean, I think if the model is wealth creation, then all they got to do is play. If it's wealth preservation, then they have to work really hard at deciding, what they're going to do with their money and how they're going to be responsible and accountable from a tax perspective, obviously from a savings and investment perspective, and then, what you can blow just for the sake of blowing it, because that's going to happen, because the more you make, the more you spend. So I think even an average player probably can make, more than he'll ever need if he plays his cards right, and he invests wisely, and he's prudent in terms of, not getting ripped off or not just throwing it away.
Is sports too much about money now?
Well, I think there are too many conversations about money. I'm one who believes, do the contract, put it in the drawer, let's go to work. You can't do the contract, put it in the drawer, let's go to work. Next week, we pull it out the drawer. Then we put it back in the drawer. Then we put it out the drawer. The media picks it up. They report everybody's income. So money's an issue. And now, you get guys who go out there and have a bad game. And suddenly, it's the John Koncak syndrome, where they said they're going to pay him $4 million a year. And he's a decent player, but he's not an all-star. He's not an all-pro. So he's one of the highest paid players in the league. And he got this contract because it was offered to him, and he accepted it. And now every time he misses a rebound, misses a free throw, it's like, there's the guy we're paying $4 million to. He should be better. Put it in the drawer, leave it alone. Your team is your team. Address the players by their number, please, not by how much money they're making.
That'll do it for this edition of Sportfolio. Our thanks to Tony Ponturo, Fran Kermsner, Peter Scolari, Bernard Muir, and Julius Erving for being part of the program. And thank you for watching. For more Sportfolio video and more Bloomberg sports business coverage, visit our website, Bloomberg.com. I'm Rick Horrow. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody, and see you next time on Sportfolio.